Hello, Shrunkle Spurt here, and today we're going to have a good old squint at Xiaomi's fresh new Redmi Watch 5. Now, I recently reviewed the Xiaomi Redmi Watch 5 Active and Watch 5 Lite, a pair of extremely cheap smartwatches costing well under 50 quid. Whereas by comparison, the regular Redmi Watch 5 is a proper expensive bit of wrist furniture with its £90 asking price. But of course that still means that the Redmi Watch 5 is considerably cheaper than the Apple Watch, and it's actually vastly superior in one key way. Now, I've had Xiaomi smartwatch strapped to my arm for a couple of weeks now, so here's my full in-depth review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, a lot of people who've spied the Redmi Watch 5 on my wrist have either remarked that it looks just like an Apple Watch, or they've actually thought that it was the Apple Watch. And it's certainly got a similar vibe with that square-ish finish, slightly rounded corners of course, and that silver frosted frame. And this is one of the first upgrades versus the Active and Lite versions of this watch. Because while those cheapy alternatives sported a simple plastic chassis, that's been replaced here on the regular Redmi Watch 5 with a proper aluminium alloy chassis, which is a bit more rugged, feels nicer as well, but just as lightweight as the plastic alternatives. So far, touch wood, no scratches, nicks or scuffs anywhere on that silver chassis. You can grab the Redmi Watch 5 in either silver or black, and both of them sport a frosted matte finish, which is a real relief because with glossy frames they tend to get a bit greasy and grimy. And at this sort of price point, no, you don't get a super protective sapphire screen on here, but again, touch wood, so far no scratches or scuffs anywhere on that surface. And as usual, I've managed to bang this thing off more than its fair share of desks and door handles and God knows what. And the strap that Xiaomi has bundled with the Redmi Watch 5 is your typical rubbery elastomer type affair. And this strap can be quickly and easily swapped out simply by pushing these wee buttons around the back end of the Redmi Watch 5. It's a lot easier if you've actually got bloody fingernails, of course. Come on, you buggy, you know you want to. So you can swap in an alternative strap, a bit of leather action, nylon, whatever suits your mood. But of course this is using Xiaomi's own proprietary strap system, so you'll have to bag extra straps directly from them. Oh, and like pretty much every smartwatch these days, the Redmi Watch 5 is fully water resistant as well, up to 5 atmospheres of pressure I believe it can handle, although as usual Xiaomi suggests not taking it into hot showers, saunas, etc. Now, the Redmi Watch 5's 2.07-inch display is a smidge bigger than the Active and the Lite models, certainly spacious enough, and it's an AMOLED panel just like the Lite, so proper punchy, nice bright vibrant colours and dark blacks as well for strong contrast and clear visibility outdoors. The screen is almost completely flat, you just got some very slight curvature around the 4 edges. And while that screen isn't quite edge to edge, those bezels surrounding it pretty skinny. And it's a sharp, finely detailed display as well, so tiny text and everything, not a problem at all, clearly visible. And another important upgrade for the Redmi Watch 5 versus those Lite and Active models is the fact you've got full auto brightness support on here as well. So as soon as you bugger off outdoors, the brightness immediately scales right up so you can still clearly see what is going on. You have to manually fiddle about with it, boosting it up, lowering it back down again. And when you do venture outside and it maxes out, oh my god, it'll pop your corneas, it's so bloody bright. And meanwhile in the evening scales right down to a nice comfortable sort of brightness level. Now, as always, you've got a good couple of hundred different watch faces you can slap on the Redmi Watch 5 to change up the look and the vibe. It's a good variety of analog and digital affairs, some absolutely packed with information, others quite sleek and simple and straightforward. And you can download fresh watch faces for your Redmi Watch 5 via the Mi Fitness app, which you can download via the Google Play Store, Apple App Store. There's a good couple hundred on here in total. Again, a great variety of stuff, suit pretty much any tastes out there, no matter how eclectic or f***ing weird. And the good news is you find one you like, you tap apply, and it generally only takes a couple of seconds to beam it across to your watch. Job done. Unfortunately, not many of these watch faces are actually customizable, and the ones that you can customize are only slightly customizable, so you might have a handful of different colors you can choose from, for instance. So of course some wearables rivals, etc. do have a greater selection of watch faces, and generally you can customize them to a greater degree. You do have a good bit of always on display action here on the Redmi Watch 5, and the good news is that most of these watch faces do come with their own matching always on display, so you've got that sort of consistent experience. And naturally, because this is a Xiaomi smartwatch, you've got that full HyperOS experience on the Redmi Watch 5, complete with the rotating dial for scrolling through the UI, as well as of course the touchscreen as usual. The HyperOS, slightly different layout here in its latest incarnation compared with what you might be used to from other Xiaomi smartwatches. So for instance, flick up and now all of your widgets are actually housed on one screen, all bunched together. So you're not constantly flicking and flicking and flicking to get through them all. It's nice and easy to just rotate that crown to scroll through them. But naturally, as usual, fully customizable. So if there's any you don't want, just give them a little tap in the corner and they will bugger right off. You can also add in new ones, most of them health-based. You got some other shenanigans chucked in there as well, including music controls. You can check out your next calendar entry, bit of stopwatch and timer action. And if you are playing some music on your smartphone, some media controls do pop up. You can just give this wee icon here a tap to quickly pause and resume your music. You can also skip through the tracks, you can change the volume. And if you swipe up, the media controls do actually pop up at the top of that widgets panel as well. So again, you can give that a tap straight in. Meanwhile, flick this way, you've got all your settings and toggles, including do not disturb mode, battery saver mode, bit of torch action, always handy when you're stumbling to the bogs at 3 AM. And then by flicking down, you will bring up your notifications panel, all of the messages that have popped up on your phone. And yes, this is pretty basic stuff, sadly. You can check out any messages that have appeared on your smartphone, but as you can see there, all you can then do is dismiss. You can't reply to most of them. But as always, it's handy to get a heads up if any urgent messages pop up on your phone, so you know to actually drag the thing out of your pocket and respond to it there and then, or if it's just some spammy bollocks that you can ignore. And the linear motor that Xiaomi has packed into this thing gives off a good rumble as well, even on the standard vibration mode, so you'll certainly not miss anything important. And you've got a simple selection of apps stuffed on here as well, the same stuff as always, basically your basic timers and alarms. You can use the watch as a remote shutter for your smartphone, you've got your media controls of course, then all of your various health-based shenanigans, including stress testing, heart rate monitoring, SpO2 levels, and a standard bit of step count and calorie burn action. Pretty straightforward stuff, nothing particularly outlandish on there. There is a voice recorder memo feature on here as well, because you do actually get a built-in mic and speaker here on the Redmi Watch 5. And yes, you can use those to receive calls right there through the watch if you can't get your phone out of your pocket because you've got armfuls of shopping or whatever. And the mic and speaker quality, absolutely fine. I could certainly have a conversation outside, even in a fairly noisy environment. If somebody called me unexpectedly, they could understand me. I could just about work out what they were saying, although of course I looked like a complete dildo just speaking to my wrist like I was in friggin' Star Trek or something. But yeah, definitely still a good feature to have on there. However, there are some bits that you won't find on here that you will find on more premium smartwatch alternatives. For instance, there's no NFC contactless payment shenanigans here. You can't just slap your wrist to a little card reader thing down the corner shop to pay for your baby bells and your grot mag and whatever else you're purchasing. And there's bugger all voice assistant support as well, which I'm not particularly bothered about because I rarely use that on a watch anyway, but if that's something that's a deal breaker for you, then you're gonna wanna look elsewhere. And yes, all of the usual fitness tracking type shenanigans on here as well, including the 24-hour heart rate monitoring, which seems fine most of the time. I only notice the occasional odd erroneous reading. Like just this one brief moment between 2:30 and 3 in the morning when I was most definitely asleep, but apparently my heart rate leapt to 85 BPM just for a split second. That must have been either a bloody awful or a bloody brilliant dream. And I had similar one-offs every single day that I used the Redmi Watch 5, which I don't typically get with other smartwatches, or at least certainly not more premium smartwatches. And of course, no, this thing can't be used for medical diagnoses or anything like that, but it's pretty good if you just want to get a rough idea of your resting heart rate, or your average resting heart rate over the course of a month, couple of months. And the Redmi Watch 5 includes support for over 150 different types of exercise, so no matter what you're into, chances are you'll find it represented in some form here. Even you swingers are catered for. And once you've done a workout, all those results are beamed across to your smartphone device. Again, you can check them out in Mi Fitness to check out your general heart rate zones. It's fairly simple, stripped down stuff compared with dedicated fitness smartwatches, but you know, if you just want a general overview and get an idea of how effective your workout has been, then you know, it'll do the job. If you're a runner, you've got slightly more features packed in here, so you can choose to go on a basic run or walk. You can also do basic jog, endurance runs, interval runs. This includes a full training plan. It's not catered for you personally or anything, it's just a general vague thing. The Redmi Watch 5 does also have 5-system GNSS built in to track your location while you're off doing a bit of jogging, running, whatever. And again, it's not super accurate compared with some premium dedicated fitness smartwatches. It won't track your distance run down to the exact meter, but it's certainly more than good enough for just casual everyday joggers. And yes, inevitably, the Redmi Watch 5 supports sleep tracking shenanigans as well. It can tell you what kind of sleep animal you are. I'm a koala, because I'm short and nasty and I'll bite you on the arse. Here's a general overview of your sleep and how deep or light it was. Can't say for sure how accurate any of this is, but you know, it's there if you need it. But the true highlight of the Redmi Watch 5, as with most Xiaomi smartwatches, is the excellent battery life. You've got a 550 mAh capacity cell stuffed inside of that lovely chassis. This is bigger than both the Redmi Watch 5 Lite and the Redmi Watch 5 Active, and most bloody smartwatches out there right now. Now, Xiaomi reckons this will give you up to 25 days of battery life between each charge. That's almost a sodden month compared with the likes of the Apple Watch, the Google Pixel Watch, etc., which will last a day or two if you're bloody lucky. Now, of course, as with all manufacturer estimates, a little bit optimistic, but I found that even with the always on display switched on and all of the features active, doing at least one bit of exercise tracking every single day and liberal use of the likes of the timer, the alarm, etc., I still managed to scrape about 11 or 12 days of use from the Redmi Watch 5 from a single charge. That's almost 2 weeks. And that's one of the best ever results I've had from any smartwatch outside of the likes of the Withens Scan Watch, which of course isn't really a traditional smartwatch. So certainly if you do a lot of traveling, for instance, you're looking for a smartwatch that you won't have to bother packing the charger for while you're away, well, job frickin' done. And that right there in a tasty wee nutshell is what I reckon of Xiaomi's Redmi Watch 5 after having it slapped on my wrist for a couple of weeks now. And of course, yes, it is missing some stuff you'll find on more premium, more expensive smartwatches, the likes of the contactless payments, the virtual assistant. And some people might find some of the features like the fitness tracking a bit too basic for their tastes. But if you're just looking for a smartwatch that can track your steps, do some basic exercise tracking as well, got your timers, your alarms, your notification support to some degree, well, the Xiaomi Redmi Watch 5 will certainly do the job, and it'll do it for a full fortnight practically before bloody dying. So that's what I reckon anyway. If you're looking to spend a little bit less even than the Redmi Watch 5, we'll definitely check out my Redmi Watch 5 Lite versus Active comparison and review. I'm hoping to update my best smartwatches review roundup pretty soon as well, once I finally get around to reviewing the Pixel Watch 3, which I've had for a couple of months now and been using on and off. In the meantime, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!